Go behind the scenes with Colleen.
Hello, Billy Sherwood.
Hi, Colleen. How are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you feeling?
I'm good. Thanks for having me here.
Oh, thanks for checking in with Baltimore. I had a chance to hug you pre-COVID backstage here in Baltimore with Asia, and I'm sure you remember that.
I do.
I
do.
And that was a great concert. I miss seeing you guys. So hopefully, maybe in 2022, because I know you're going back out with Yes. But let's talk about this brand new album called The Quest.
Okay. What would you like to know?
I want to know how you recorded it, how many songs are on it, and what's your favorite? Well,
it's almost 7 a.m. here, so I can't remember exactly how many songs are on it. You got me on that one.
11.
Okay, there you go. I need more coffee. As far as how the album came together, we were touring relentlessly, and we, got knocked off the radar by COVID, as everybody did. So it was at that point that we kind of started songwriting and passing ideas around, and the concept of, we've got enough material here to go for it. The ideas started sharpening, and we started really focusing in on making a record. And, Steve Howe produced it, did a great job, and gathered all the music together and put it all together at the end of the day. So I think it worked out quite well. But a big part of it was the fact that we were not on the road, which, I'm sure we'll look back and say that's why we were meant to not be on the road.
Any particular songs on the album that you had a big hand in writing, or?
There's 2 songs that I wrote the music for, and John Davison wrote the lyrics and the melody. We co-wrote it, Minus the Man and The Western Edge. And then Steve wrote some things with John, and John wrote some things with Jeff, and so it's kind of a mixture of all the writing going on, and I think the balance was found quite well.
Did you get into a studio with everybody? Were you able to do that?
No, because of COVID,
right.
No one could travel, right?
Right.
And so it just happened to be so that Steve, Jeff, and John were in close proximity in London, and I was here on the West Coast with Alan White, and so those guys got together and worked on their end, and I did my thing on this end, and we started with the music first to get the ideas flowing, and then by the time we were ready to start really getting into cutting some drums and bass, the COVID restrictions lightened up. So Alan flew down to L.A. and we worked together for a couple, 12 days, I think it was, putting the rhythm tracks together. So we wanted to make sure that it had that Yes feeling, and that, the engine room was ready to go for the record. So that's kind of how it came together. We did our thing on this coast, they did their thing over there.
And it worked because it's a very yes-y album, very yes-sounding, as it should be. So, Billy, can I ask you, who is your favorite bass player?
Well, my favorite of all time was Jocko, and Chris was running neck and neck with Jocko, but he was just a little ahead. Funny story, because, Chris and I were very, very close.
Well, real quick, before you tell the story, how did you meet Chris?
Well, we met in around the late 80s when Yes was without a lead singer. I had a band called World Trade, and Chris heard about the demos and wanted to meet me to possibly be the lead singer of Yes, which was something everybody thought was a great idea, but I didn't. So I kind of backed out and fell into the production side with those guys. But Chris and I remained friends ever since, and the rest of the history
yes.
at that point,
All right, so
but
go ahead.
Getting back to the bass player thing, Chris and I are hanging out at a bar after a gig one night. We're a little bit lit, and he looks to me and goes, "No, just admit it. I'm your favorite bass player." I said, "You're so close." And he says to me, "Jocko." I said, "I'm sorry, bro, but yeah."
You should have said it's a tie. Make him feel good.
And part of it was to make sure his head could fit
right.
through the room, But as you asked, Jocko, Squire, Paul McCartney, Colin Moulding, Tony Levin, all those guys. Those are my heroes. John Wetton, of course. I mean, there's so many. It's hard to say who they all are because we'd
right.
be here forever.
So if you had to pick on who would you go out with, either Asia or Yes, who would it be? Would you flip a coin?
Well, the good news is I'll never have to do that because it's managed by the same people.
Oh, good.
They won't let those worlds collide. But I think, on that note, the tour that we did where Asia opened for Yes was one that was just mind-blowing for me.
I know.
Because here I am in two of my favorite bands. And I had a funny moment with Steve because, Steve joined us on that as well. I'm looking down the line. It's like, wow, how did this ever happen to me? But we're backstage after we play with Asia, and we're about to come out with Yes, and I look at Steve, there's a quiet little moment there, and I said, it's odd warming up for your own band.
That is wild. I understand your uncle is Milton Berle?
No, he was my godfather.
Oh, your godfather, okay.
My dad and Milton were extremely close, and my dad was actually on the Milton Berle show, which was the first television show, when television was like a thing and
right.
we turned it on, the first show was Milton, and my dad was there with him. So, yeah, it was kind of funny.
Another fun friendship you have, William Shatner's your good buddy.
I love William Shatner.
He's going into space.
I just am so thrilled that he gets to do that because it's so appropriate. I haven't seen him in a while because of COVID, but he throws these football parties during football season and invites everybody over, and so I see him quite a lot through that, and I can't wait for that to begin. He's a super sweet guy, and we've remained really close friends ever since working together on the Ponder the Mystery record that I produced with him.
Yep.
We co-wrote it, too.
Yep. God, you've worked with so many people. My gosh, Paul Rogers, Todd Rundgren, Edgar Winter. Looking at your resume, it's jam-packed, and you've also been on some Christmas compilations. You working on any Christmas music?
Not at the moment, but it's you never know. I do tend to do a lot of various productions with a lot of different record labels, and yes, I've made a couple Christmas records. I actually had a Happy Kwanzaa song and a Rockin' Hanukkah on there too, just to keep it all cool.
And I know you're probably around my age, so you're young. Would there ever be a time where you would sit down and think about maybe writing your I'm sure you have stories, writing a memoir, a book?
People have been saying that to me for years because of just the way my life has opened up here and joining your favorite bands and all this kind of stuff. So, and I've always kind of laughed it off going, yeah, right, whatever. But I just recently started thinking about, where this career began and where I am now and making little notes about the journey. And my plan is to try to fill in those topics as I tour and just, have time on planes and trains and automobiles and see if I can put something together,
Yeah. Well, congratulations on the new album, The Quest. 11 songs, Billy. And
Thank you.
You're getting out there, the album series tour next May. However, I don't have any U.S. dates yet, but I'm quite sure we'll get you. If you can tour overseas, you can play the States, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think we're going to probably see March. It's nothing's announced right now, but I think that's the general idea.
All right. Billy Sherwood from Yes/Asia and everywhere else. Thank you so much for taking the time. Take care, buddy.
Okay, take care.
Bye.
Ciao.
Hear every episode of Behind the Scenes with Colleen at thebayonline.com or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.